All right, I'm going to talk today about Model2Go. Guy mentioned it a little bit yesterday. Thank you, Guy. Model2Go. Everything that can be automated will be automated. That's the inspiration for it. So what is it? Let's talk about it for a sec. Basically, what Model2Go is PTV buying and partnering with different big data sources and open source data and processing it to put model data together for you into vZoom, quick, easy, fast, well done, so that then you can save time building networks and building models. And then you can use that in vZoom projects or export it to vSim and use it for vSim or use it in vStro. So this is the basic idea behind Model2Go. And Model2Go is a new initiative. And so we're working right now on the supply network parts of it, you'll see. But we have plans for adding demand components and modeling components and more to it. So Model2Go really combines two things. One is Model2Go, which is the actual model itself. It's basically going to be a vZoom version file that's going to be dropped into vZoom for you. And the Model Factory is our team of modelers and data scientists and software engineers that's building the infrastructure to crunch all this data for you because this works anywhere in the world that there's data available. So, and we don't just run it naively. We also take a little bit of time to look at it and work with you to make it better. So it's not just, you know, a silly Model2Go. It's actually an improved human reviewed Model2Go. So it's delivered in PTV vZoom. I think most of you know what vZoom is, but I'll just summarize real quick. That's our travel demand modeling platform. I talked about it just a little while ago. Model2Go doesn't work without vZoom. Model2Go is essentially a vZoom model. Okay, it's delivered into vZoom format. And once you have a Model2Go model, then you can do all the things that you could do with vZoom, with the travel demand model, basically. You can use it for travel demand modeling, for long-term planning. You could use it for traffic impact studies. Now, what we have so far with Model2Go isn't going to give you everything you need for a traffic impact study. There's not much signal timing in there, for example, so you're going to have to add that to it, right? But you're going to start with a model that's got good geometry, you know, good data, true shape networks, has a zone system, has connectors, things like that. So it's really a seed or a foundation for a lot of this stuff. You can use it into our Optima product, our real-time traffic management product, because it needs a base model. It needs a network. You can use it for demand modeling, you know, features like forecasting, you know, ride sharing modes. All the things you can use demand models for is basically what the list of things I'm iterating here. Accessibility studies, which Guy just mentioned, so forth and so on. So what's in a demand model, right? We need a network. We need a multimodal network. We need a road network, a transit network, a bike network. We need population and land use data in TAZ zone system. And then we need some kind of behavioral data like a household travel survey or census journey to work data or things like that. And we mash all that up into the model, and then we use that for scenario analysis. All right. So what does Model2Go supply? So we have different versions of Model2Go. We have the Model2Go supply right now, which is the supply network components, and we're working on Model2Go demand as we speak. And basically what you do is you define an area anywhere in the world and you cut it out and you'll create it. So we've, if you saw our campaign, we've built models for, I think, examples for like Atlanta and Amsterdam and other cities around the world. I think this is Cape Town. And so we can draw it and cut it out and export and create the model. This is Paris. This is Berlin. Okay, so you draw a box, cut an area, and what do you get? All right, so you get a road network. I'll tell you where I'm going to go through all these different components for you. You get a road network, you get a public transport network, you also get the timetable or the schedule. You can either supply your own zone system or it'll build a zone system for you intelligently based on like rivers and roads and things like that, and geographies. It'll build zone connectors for you. It also loads OpenStreetMap point of interest data or here point of interest data like shopping locations and, you know, churches and events and big things like that. And it also has some machine learning algorithms to estimate trip generation from the POI data. And you can also get some junction detail as well if you with the HERE data. The road networks are coming from HERE or TomTom. Those are the two data providers that we partnered with to build the data. It's going to give you use the functional classification information that's included to build the networks, the free flow speed data. It's going to do estimates of capacity, link capacities for you, and Z coordinate elevation data, stuff like that. In the HERE data, there's also some junction geometry available. If it's in the HERE data, there's not coverage everywhere, but they continually are trying to make their intersection geometry data better, and where it's available, it will be included in the model. And you can reach out of us ahead of time and get an example, or we can look at the data for you and see if it does have the junction data for you or sufficient amount of junction data for you for your needs before you decide to purchase it. Otherwise, it guesses. It also does some quick signal timing estimation based on the geometry that it can. Again, it's guessing, but it's a good starting point, and it's also building all the data structures for you, so you can come back and fill it in later. For the transport or the public transport supply, it's going to use basically public GTFS feeds, Google Transit feeds. You can supply those if you have them locally as well. And then it's going to go through and clean those, organize those, put those on top of the road network for you, snap the stops, do things like that. It's going to also take multiple providers. If you have multiple like bus operators in your region and they have like the same line and two different feeds, it's going to see that and deduplicate the supply network and stuff. So it's going to clean it up basically and try to build you a coherent, rational travel demand model public transport network. For a zone system, it's going to build zones for you, again, using a bunch of different things. I mean, PTV, we have lots of experience over the years building models, and so we can put in all of our intelligence around building zone systems. And that is, respecting administrative boundaries, zone boundaries, land use data, all those kinds of things that if you build zones, you know what to do. And you can also supply your own zone system. So if you have an existing model and you want to do like a road network update, like maybe you have a stick network from the past and you want to start again with a new clean network, but you want to transfer your zone system, we can put that into the Model2Go engine at PTV, and it'll use that when it builds the model. So it'll come back to you with the improved zone system or the improved network with your zone system in it. As I mentioned, it has HERE and OpenStreetMap point of interest data. All sorts of stuff, right? All these categories of places is available and organized and put into vZoom for you. There's some examples here. It's going to also then build Centroid connectors for you, and it has some different routines basically to do that. So it's going to do that based on some clustering ideas. And for public transport, it's going to use that by looking at the search distance to the different stop locations and then choosing reasonable zone connectors to get you to the network as fast as possible. The POI data is then also dropped into a machine learning methods that we're constantly improving to then generate trip generation data for you for different activities. Again, it's just rough estimates, but you can see it starts to have more and more purposes over time, maybe integration with like ITE that Adam mentioned. So we're just working on building it up with all the stuff we can get out there to build this Model2Go as good as possible. I mentioned some of these use cases already. I mean, out of the box, it's a supply network. So accessibility analysis is a great application for this. Studies like that, sometimes some public transport supply network improvement studies. Indirect, which means basically doing more work, value adding, putting all the extra modeling data in, and you can do all the stuff that traditional travel models do. All right, so a couple examples. This is public transport competitiveness. So basically this is zones that are connected by public transport in over 30 minutes, but are drivable within 20 minutes. So these are just showing you likely connections for improvements. You can do stuff like that right out of the box. Accessibility analysis is another one I mentioned. You can do that for multimodal. You can do it for cars. You can do it for transit. And that's counting the amount of stuff you can get to from different locations, right? How walkable is your region? How drivable? Do you need a car to live here? You might be familiar with Walk Score, kind of similar to Walk Score. All right, so what are the different versions of Model2Go? We have it basically, you can buy it one time. You can buy a Model2Go network and work with the team to get it delivered for you. You can also sign up for a subscription where you'll get yearly updates to the data. And you can also do it bundled with vZoom if you're not using vZoom, because you need vZoom in order to edit it and use it, basically. You could always buy it and export it into something else, but if you want to really make use of it, it makes sense to drop it into vZoom because it's a modeling tool. And then the pricing is based on the population, the coverage area, basically the size of the area that you're looking at, and also if you want the junction detail, because that's part of the agreement with here for the junction detail. What's in the roadmap? So Model2Go Supply is the supply network version that was launched this summer. We're going to be working on adding more data because the data, like, this is available around the world, and that depends on the data sources. TomTom and here, for example, have data in 100 countries, and so, but some of the OpenStreetMap data or the census data that's available, that's different in each country. So we have to work on procedures to automate that and build routines to download that from their APIs and stuff like that and get those integrated. And we keep working on the data imputation methods, the machine learning methods to calculate like the trip generation rates from the OpenStreetMap POI data. We will also be we're getting close to finalizing some deals with big data providers to provide OD data, like demand matrices, into the system so that you can then have estimates of travel demand built into the Model2Go. And those will be available then in vZoom for analysis. So you could do like flow bundles or select link analysis with the model data. That's pretty much it. So we're excited about it. I think it's a step towards providing data as a well to tools. We're going to be offering it right now. It's available in vZoom, the desktop products, but as Adam showed, the publisher, we're going to be offering more of the Model2Go stuff online with publisher, so you can use it and share it with people. We'd love to work with you to use it in your region. So please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Are there any yeah, sure. And maybe just one general comment on top of what Ben said. Relative to pricing, pricing is based by population area size of population base. So which is pretty consistent with the type of pricing that you see from TomTom and here. Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, quick question. This is great for on the supply side of things and networks. That's awesome. I wasn't over the demand side. That makes me a little nervous. Where are you going to get your demand from? From me, the MPO, or are you going to come up with a competing demand trip tables and such? Or is it going to be for forecasting or just base here?
Yeah, so it'll be, well, basically all of the above are available. So we are in discussions with some data providers to provide OD matrices into the system as well. You can also use your local data if you want to provide it into the Model2Go engine. So those are the two options. It would only be base year data too.